We're here live with my friend Nicole and Jonathan, and we are so excited to celebrate this moment of God making all things new in both of them. But it didn't always start that way, and we're going to take just a few moments for Nicole to share a little bit of what led her to this place. Nicole, why don't you share?
Well, I've always been an active member in church when I was younger, but as I got older, I kind of lost my way. I struggled with alcohol because my mom had a drug addiction, and I got married young and had a beautiful son, but that marriage ended in a very bad divorce. And I lost my son through the custody battle, and it made me feel very lonely, and it took me back to drinking. It took me about 6 months to finally get myself together and to move to North Carolina to start a new life, and everything started going great. I met my husband, we got married, bought a house, had 2 beautiful children, and February 2019 hit us hard.
It was February 5th, 6:30 in the morning. I was on my way to work, and I was stopped behind a school bus in Nightdale, and just out of nowhere, I got plowed from the back. Put me out of work for several months, had multiple herniations in my spine. So between, the physical pain and trying to figure out how to make ends meet, being out of work, not even being able to pick up my kids and play with my kids the way I would want to, it took a lot out of me. And through, the medications and all the injections that I was getting in my back, and it was like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The medication just, they can change people. And after, months of just being on a downward spiral, it caused a lot of rocky roads through our marriage. And I started, just looking and waiting for somebody to reach out. And after being, mentally alone, not knowing if there was anybody to go through any of that stuff like I was, it was November, 2 days after my birthday, and I had dug a hole in the backyard, and I found myself there, at the end of my rope, sitting in this hole with my gun, and out of nowhere, a friend of mine, right before I pulled it, showed up and kind of changed things. I told him that, at that moment, I told him God didn't live here, and he told me I was wrong, and told me that he did live there, to get out of that hole and to go with the people, and I ended up in a mental health ward for 8 days. And when I got out, it was the first weekend that I had been out, we decided to come here to Focus. And I hadn't been to church in 20 years, since I was 10 years old. And the first sermon that Pastor Mike had preached when I came that day, he gave an illustration to the man in the hotel room who was at the end of his rope. And, the man walked down the hallway and yelled through the keyhole. And through that message, I haven't turned away, and, I'm thankful for everything. There is light when you think there is none. There is an answer coming. Just got to pray for it. Hold your faith, hold your strength. Just like everything, he'll get you where you need to be. So don't give up in the struggle.
When I first started coming, I would cry. I would have a whole tissue box I would take. If people go by, I'd take a few. I'd take the whole box. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is mine. And I would cry because I could feel his message so strong. I could feel the warm embrace. And I remember looking at my friend Kayla, and I said, why am I bawling? I don't do this. She said, honey, just let it happen. And in that moment when Pastor Mike said, raise your hand, I raised my hand every weekend that month. So why do you have so many cards? I said, because I need him that much. I need him. I love him. And at that moment, I surrendered, and I said, I have to surrender everything, not only for myself, but for my family, and to guide them. And I keep him as my light every day.